Welcome to A Line Through Time, where I take the time to look through your favourite franchises and work out how it all lines up. Yeah, this one's a little different, isn't it? I've mentioned before that this show isn't just about games, but not a lot of non-game franchises come to mind that get as complicated as what you expect to see here. Halloween, however, is absolutely the best franchise to choose as the first. And not just because there's a new installment, the 40th anniversary, and the franchise's namesake all occurring within about 2 weeks of each other. See, this franchise has a serious quality problem that they tend to solve with vast retcons and reboots. It's basically the DC universe of movies. Make of that what you will. So let's get started with John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween. The film centres on Michael Myers, who was committed to an asylum after murdering his older sister Judith 15 years ago. Michael escapes and returns to his hometown to continue his killing spree. He targets babysitter Laurie Strode and her friends, while his psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis, attempts to stop him. When Michael attacks Laurie, Loomis shoots him off a balcony and he disappears, leaving the film to end on an ominous note. Given that the film made back over 4 times its budget and kickstarted the slasher genre, it really is no surprise that it spawned a franchise. But Carpenter only produced the next film, 1981's Halloween 2, set the same night. Laurie is taken to a hospital for her injuries and Michael follows. It turns out Laurie is actually Michael's younger sister who was adopted by the Strodes after Michael killed Judith. Loomis continues the search for Michael, eventually cornering him at the hospital. Laurie shoots out his eyes and Loomis blows himself and Michael up, burning the killer to death. 1982's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was a movie no one could have expected. This film has nothing to do with Michael or Laurie and even features one of the characters watching the original movie's trailer, setting this in a separate continuity. See, the plan was for the franchise to be an anthology series with only the night of Halloween as a connecting theme. However, people had grown attached to the original story and characters and wanted to see that continue. As such, those plans were scrapped and Halloween 4 proudly proclaimed the return of Michael Myers with its subtitle. Released in 1988, the film sees both Michael and Dr. Loomis return with only minor injuries from being blown up last time. Michael awakens from a decade-long coma to hunt down Jamie Lloyd, the daughter of Laurie and named after Laurie's actress Jamie Lee Curtis, who had died in a car crash. Michael is gunned down and falls down a mine shaft, and Jamie seemingly murders her foster mother in an eerily similar manner to how Michael killed his sister. The clear implication is that the metaphorical curse of Michael Myers has passed on to his niece. 1989's Halloween 5 The Revenge of Michael Myers reveals her mother survived, but Jamie was institutionalized and Michael fell into a year-long coma. One of these repetitions is a parallel, the other is just lazy. Michael and Jamie now have a psychic link which he uses to track her down. After being lured into the old Myers house, Michael is beaten unconscious by Loomis and sent to prison, only to be released by a mysterious man in black whose involvement in the sequel would pretty much ruin the entire franchise. Surprisingly, it took 6 years for Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, originally named Halloween 666 The Origin of Michael Myers, to release, and it really was not worth the wait. And now older Jamie is impregnated by the Man in Black's cult and is subsequently murdered by Michael. The baby is found by Tommy Doyle, the boy Laurie was babysitting in the original film, and it falls to him and Dr. Loomis to keep the boy safe from his great uncle. Well, I say great uncle, but in the original cut of the film, he was also the boy's father. Yeah. Michael impregnated his own niece. Fortunately, this cut of the film performed poorly with test audiences, partly due to Michael being beaten with magic rocks. So extensive reshoots were done to amp up the body count, remove the incest elements, and generally clean up the plot. Unfortunately, Loomis's actor, Donald Pleasance, passed away between the original cut being completed and the commencement of the reshoot, so the new version doesn't feature him all that much. And the worst part is that this was his final role. Michael is revealed to have been cursed with the Thorn, which compels him to murder his relatives on Halloween night. It's a real shame that they added this supernatural element to an otherwise fairly grounded series, but it does mostly fit with the established canon, except that him then originally impregnating his own niece to produce another relative he intends to destroy makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, who does he think he is, Kazumi Mishima? The Man in Black is revealed as a minor character from the first film, Loomis's colleague Dr. Wynn. Tommy tranquilizes and beats Michael with a lead pipe and escapes with the other survivors. Dr. Loomis stays behind, presumably to finish Michael off, only to be heard screaming with both his and Michael's fates being left in the air. This mystery would never be resolved, however, as the film was a critical failure. As such, 1998 saw the release of Halloween H2O 20 years later. The film ignores the previous 3, accepting only the original 2 as canon. Michael returns to pursue a still living Laurie as well as her son. Laurie battles Michael in the film's climax and even refuses to let his body be taken away, hijacking the ambulance and decapitating her brother with a fire axe. Fucking legendary. But They just couldn't let it go, could they? With the film's success, a sequel released in 2002, Halloween Resurrection. Despite the name and the occult stuff in the previous sequels, Michael is not resurrected. He had just put a wounded paramedic in his place last time, destroying the impact of how awesome Laurie was and how far she'd come since the first film. Michael finds his sister in an asylum and kills her in the first 10 minutes. He then returns to his childhood home where an online reality series is being shot. Michael begins killing the contestants until a kung fu kicking Busta Rhymes takes him down. Michael survives, but this farce of a continuity did not. After the critical lambasting of this unnecessary continuation, presumably inspired by the massive success of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in 2003, Rob Zombie was given the go-ahead to remake Halloween in 2007. It largely sticks to the original plot, but with more focus on Michael's backstory and motives, turning him into a Jason-esque mama's boy. It proved a big financial hit and resulted in a sequel, Halloween 2, 2 years later. This one adapts the original 2 in a dream sequence before moving on and doing its own thing. Laurie now has a psychic connection to Michael. Michael captures her and kills Loomis, uttering his first ever line of dialogue. Die! Good job. He is then stabbed to death by Laurie, who has a mental break and will become the next Michael, really making this more of a remake of 4 and 5 than of 2. Needless to say, people didn't much like this one. It took 9 years for a new installment to be released, the 40th anniversary celebration, Halloween. This one again ignores all the bad sequels, even the second film, and picks up after Michael's disappearance and subsequent incarceration. He returns to hunt Laurie, who has been preparing for this day for 40 years. It's been getting positive reviews, so hopefully this means they won't be rebooting or retconning again. They're apparently planning another film to follow this one, so I guess we'll see if they can not fuck it up like they always do. Supposedly they originally intended to shoot both films back to back, but chose to see how audiences reacted to this one first instead, suggesting that they really want to make something good here. But for right now, these are the Halloween timelines. To avoid spoiling the new one, the previously definitive Halloween timeline goes a little something like this. Halloween 1963. A young boy named Michael Myers murders his older sister Judith with a knife. He is institutionalized at Smith's Grove Sanitarium under the care of Dr. Samuel Loomis. His younger sister is adopted by the Strode family and named Laurie Strode. Halloween 1978. Michael escapes the sanitarium and attempts to murder Laurie and her friends. Dr. Loomis guns Michael down, but he escapes capture. Laurie is taken to the hospital where Michael follows. Dr. Loomis blows himself and Michael up. Michael escapes and Laurie fakes her own death. Circa 1998. Dr. Loomis dies. Halloween 1998. Michael tracks Laurie down to kill her. Laurie defeats Michael, but he switches places with a wounded paramedic whom Laurie decapitates. Laurie is institutionalized at Grace Anderson Sanitarium. Halloween 2001. Michael finds Laurie at the sanitarium and throws her from the roof, killing her. Halloween 2002. Michael returns to his childhood home where the internet reality show Dangertainment is being filmed. Michael begins killing the contestants until a kung fu kicking Busta Rhymes beats the shit out of him and electrocutes him, but he lives anyway. I mean, Jesus, what the fuck was up with that ending? Is it any reason they rebooted twice after that shit? You know what? I've changed my mind. Don't do the sequel, just stop. If you liked this video, you know what to do. I'm fucking done.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.